Ardor and NXT family, the celebration continues here on Ardor Days, and we are igniting the blockchain. Crypto Woman here, otherwise known as Elizabeth, with William Pacheco. William has been part of the NXT community for quite a while now, and it's a pleasure to see your face and introduce you to the rest of the community as a person. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me. I've been a part of the NXT community for about, I want to say, 2 years now. I'm located in South Korea. I got interested in NXT. Well, originally I got interested in crypto for trading purposes and making money and stuff like that. But I really got interested in NXT while I was doing my master's degree, and I was researching South Korea's Information Network Village program. And basically what that program was a way for South Korea to get internet technology into rural areas and into villages and allow the farmers and the local growers and producers of those areas to get their products out to a wider network, both within Korea and worldwide. And also just improving everybody's quality of life through, webcam talks and stuff like that. But basically, while I was writing my master's and I was investing in Bitcoin at the same time, I was looking for a solution that could help me with that and help me make a proposal to my university and others to integrate blockchain type stuff with official development assistance, which is what the program that I did for my master's. So basically NXT was the perfect product for that. I could not find anything else at the time back in 2016 that was better than that. And even to this day, actually, which is really surprising, I've yet to actually find something better than NXT and by extension Ardor for this purpose.
Wow, that fascinates me. We talk about how the blockchain will influence big finance, banking, that whole sector, the financial sector. But part of my interest too into the blockchain is how it can impact rural communities and stimulate economic growth and development in areas that are largely underdeveloped. And so I'm really interested in hearing more about that.
Well, yeah, I can go more in depth with that. And basically, with the way the project was executed in Korea, there were village information centers. And there was a program a long time ago called Semal Undong, which is basically the new village movement. And they basically revitalized every part of Korea back in the 1970s. And Korea, at one point, Korea was the poorest nation in the world. And through this program, they were able to basically bring themselves up from nothing to being a powerhouse, an economic powerhouse these days. And basically, once they no longer had to borrow money from the OECD, from the UN, they were obligated now to become a donor and to basically get their program out to other, I want to say, developing nations, and help them grow their economies and improve quality of life for their people. So this is the way that they're using, their expertise to help others grow. With that said, once you get into these villages, obviously, one aspect of that program back in the 1970s was getting resources, getting cement, getting wood, executing and taking votes on potential projects to use these materials to build stuff that would improve the quality of life for the villagers. So with this, we have a fair and immutable system. Now, voting needs to be fair. A woman's vote needs to count as much as a man's vote. Right. A vote needs to, be able to not be erased. With a lot of these developing nations, you have a lot of people who either do not trust or cannot trust their government. And we need a system that can, basically prove that voting has been fair. For the marketplace, we need ways to connect these local villages to the market. Now, I've noticed and I've read a lot of cases where in Africa, they have these cell phone systems that they use to try to get market prices for fruits and vegetables. But with the blockchain, that can be discovered much quicker.
Mhm.
And not only that, you've got the blockchain messaging systems. And the blockchain messaging system really, uh, I find it that it would actually be really, really good to use with village meeting minutes, keeping a log and a record of what goes on in local village meetings and official documents and stuff like that. And, when I think about the marketplace, when I think about voting, when I think about logistics systems and messaging, and then even microloans and creating secondary currencies and stuff like that to basically create wider trade networks for people. There's only one thing that has all that, and that really is NXT and by extension Ardor.
Yeah. Well, you talk about microloans in some of these developing nations. One of the things that I've been fascinated with from the beginning is proving land ownership, because in a lot of these developing nations, land has been owned for generations and generations and passed from,
Right.
families, but there's no record of it. So
Right.
if a landowner who could be a wealthy landowner comes up with an entrepreneurial idea to improve his life and his community's life, approaches a bank for a development loan, for instance, and
Right.
has no collateral and no proof of ownership for this land,
Right.
then he's
He's
lost.
out
And
of luck.
actually,
Yeah.
that's a big stagnation point right now for development in a lot of countries.
Right.
So I think that putting land ownership, improving collateral on a blockchain would be an ideal too.
Absolutely. It would absolutely be something that's very necessary. And not only that, especially with microloans, accountability, basically showing that or having the person who received the loan prove that they spent it correctly, on what they were supposed to spend it on and stuff like that. Accountability systems, proof of ownership systems. I noticed with Gellerita and Austria, they're working on ID systems with Austria and stuff like that. All of this stuff is really, really necessary to bring these rural areas into the 21st century. And I'm repeating myself, but NXT provides that package.
Repeat
And
yourself as much as you want.
yeah, and when you basically have something, and Gellerita was very, very generous. In my opinion, Gellerita was very generous because it's not just that NXT is open source. They released the blockchain creation kit,
Yeah.
which basically made it so much easier to get pilot programs like this started and modified and stuff. And I think that Gellerita doesn't get enough credit for what they've done for communities and the world as a whole, because there are a lot of projects that are just, I don't want to say selfish, but there are a lot of projects that don't provide that kind of assistance, and there's nothing like NXT out there.
Right. And, we all talk about, not we all, but some of us really believe that the blockchain is going to make the world a better place. And it gets down sometimes to the nitty gritty on how it can really help economic development in some of these areas. And if we will withhold that information from them and don't make it accessible, there's no way they can get started. But yeah, the link's right on Gellerita.com. Anybody can go download it. Boom, it's theirs. To play with, we've talked about testing it, but actually to start applying it and making use cases, like you said, start taking your village meeting minutes on it and sharing it with everybody. Yeah, it is pretty remarkable what they've done. We're having a conversation about use cases in a way that can really help solve some real social and economic problems in the world instead of make people rich or businesses flow easier, which is a good application. And it reminds me of one of the things that I like, and that's proving supply chain. And like you were talking, transparency, because a lot of these rural areas, part of their economic depression is they're susceptible to things like corruption, to forced labor, to, we talk about, the slave labor and that's still going on in the world today. And in very long supply chains, in products that are delivered to us in the first world countries, oftentimes way back in that supply chain, it's murky. and things
Yes,
happen
it's very
like
easy for money to fall
arms
through the
dealers
cracks.
and slave trading and things like that. But if we had a transparent, immutable, accountable supply chain record, that would solve a lot of problems in my mind. So I can't wait for that to happen.
Absolutely. And I'm not big on the programming side, but I can't imagine, based on the tools that Gellerita's already produced within NXT, I can't imagine that it would be too difficult to implement either.
No, I believe the tools are right there. It's fully featured. It's a fully featured
Right.
blockchain, and just download it and see. And now Ardor is also, fully featured too. But like you said, the entry point for NXT for people that don't need to create a child chain for themselves, because not everybody needs their own blockchain. Some people, they don't, or they can use the existing platform, or they can get their own dedicated private.
Well, what's interesting about Ardor is when I originally looked at Next and NXT, I was only looking at it at the village level. But then when I thought about what Gellerita was doing with Ignis and Ardor, Next feels like, a village level or a local level type project, but Ardor feels more national, because then each village has their own child chain. Each city has their own child chain connected within a national network. So that's definitely something that's very, lucrative and important in my eyes. Now, I'm sure you could do a national chain on NXT, but it definitely seems like more of a use case for Ardor there.
Right. And that's the amazing thing, is that now that we have two products to deliver, we can find different use cases and different applications for each one.
Absolutely.
We've got it covered, guys. Right?
I know. When you look at the whole cryptocurrency market, there's so many projects. I cannot believe how many projects that do not have a product and have multi-billion-dollar valuations. It blows my mind how that's even happening. Like, I get it. I get speculation. I understand how markets work and stuff like that. But to have something where, one thing that Gellerita did that's both good and maybe a little bad was they underpromised and they over-delivered, which is how things should be. You should underpromise and over-deliver. And a lot of people overpromise and underdeliver. And then when you've got these people hyped up and they're stuck as bag holders, well, your market cap is staying high because those people don't want to sell.
Right.
So with Gellerita and Ardor being very fair, especially with the Ignis airdrop and token sale and all that, I cannot think of a more honest project in the cryptocurrency sphere than what Gellerita is doing right now.
And we hear that over and over and over, the integrity of this project, the integrity of the developer, the developers, which is Gellerita. Let's talk about hype a little bit,
Sure.
because hype and the cryptocurrency world seem to go hand in hand. Hype really moves these markets, doesn't it? And
I absolutely agree.
one of the things that I really appreciate is that sometimes it seems like the NXT Ardor community has actually gone out of their way to avoid hype.
That's true.
And that's part of their maybe the commitment of the developers and the community to deliver a full product and to let the product prove itself rather than hype it. And I know that disappoints some people, when we don't get that high market cap or that high valuation instantly. But I think when it actually starts happening, it's going to be solid and it's going to stay around. You know what I mean? Because we have the fundamentals. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? You're a trader.
I totally agree. Next has been a project that's been around for 4 years. Proof of stake has been around for 4 years, and not just proof of stake. Now, Next wasn't the first with proof of stake, but they were the first with full proof of stake. And this is the type of thing where it's interesting because you've got projects like Ethereum that still haven't, put in proof of stake. They've promised it for so long, but proof of stake still isn't there. They're going to promise sharding and child chains with plasma and stuff like that, but who knows when they're going to come up with that. But we don't have a lot of people, because I am one of the moderators on the subreddit, the Ardor and NXT subreddit.
Thank you for your work.
and we don't have a lot of people making memes and stuff like that. I don't want to say we're a serious project, but you know, we're not a joke. There's some projects that are just a joke out there.
Mm-hmm.
And with hype, you know, you've got a lot of people out there who do hype. You've got John McAfee on Twitter. You've got, you know, but now you've got this whole accusation of shills for Verge and stuff like that. You've got a lot of brigading and on Reddit. You've got a lot of paid shills. You've got a lot of pumpers. You've got pump groups and stuff like that. So I'm actually very glad because every subreddit says the same thing. They want organic growth for their coin. And Ardor has shown very, very good signs of organic growth. Gellerita did the right thing of basically putting up the test net and letting people see their progress over time. Whereas like you've got projects like Lisk and you've got people in the Lisk subreddit saying, you know, guys, just give us a beta, give us some proof that side chains are real, you know, give us something that we can see. Is there something about the SDK that you can update us with? And they do have a GitHub repository that you can check out, but they don't really have a proof of concept. Gellerita's been sitting on the proof of concept for Ardor for about a year, and they could have launched it earlier if they wanted to, but they really did do their best to basically have the product ready. And now the hype train could come. We'll see. We'll see how it works. But no matter what, whenever you get into any type of, you know, internet fight with somebody on the internet, if you've got the product and they don't, the argument's over. You know, so it's very easy to defend and back up Ardor and Gellerita and what they're doing. And when you get into a very serious conversation with other blockchain enthusiasts about their project, if their project has no product, the conversation doesn't go very far.
Right, and we have delivered, and we are ready to deliver an enhanced product, which is going applied to even more use cases. You know, William, trading, it's a
yes
topic, right? And
you know what? Actually, I believe NXT is actually #1 on Poloniex right now. They went up 40% today.
that is unbelievable. You know, everybody's talking about, oh, NXT is going to die, it's dead. Well, it did. We did have a retracement, which is really, really normal after we have such a meteoric rise, right? But it's found a support, and you know, mid 60s, and maybe, I mean, I'm talking cents there. I'm minding cents instead of satoshis, but maybe you can tell us about that.
You know, especially with NXT's rise, in the subreddits, I see a lot of sad, you know, upset people who were upset with Gellerita, and they're like, "What are you gonna do about the price?" And Gellerita doesn't control the price, guys.
Right.
When you decide, now remember, NXT was 5.5 cents around that range in November. It was 600 something satoshis, and if you decided to get in, you know, and you just heard about NXT, and we know why people got into NXT. It was for Ignis, okay?
Right.
And you decide to get in after, you know, a 3,000% rise or whatever it did. You can't be surprised by a correction, you know. And if you got in early enough, we're at the 5,000 sat range or something like that right now. We were at 3,000 sats, but even if we were at the bottom of this correction at 3,000 sats, you're still looking at like 4 to 5 times what we were the previous month in satoshis alone, and you're still looking at 1,000% growth in dollar value in 1 month. And this is actually NXT's price now, after the Ignis airdrop has already occurred, and I find that to be absolutely amazing. Now, regarding the price, if people are holding, if you bought at the top and you sold before Ignis dropped, that I have nothing to say except for that sucks for you, okay? But if you did hold on to Ignis and you've still got your NXT, you're going to be okay. I don't think that people really need to worry about this. I experienced the drop during the initial Ardor snapshot, which was, I think it was over like 3 months or something like that. It was a really, really long time. And at one point, maybe halfway through, NXT started declining because Monero was mooning. Some other coins were mooning at the time, and people just wanted to jump over to that. And, that's just kind of like fair weather supporters and fair weather friends and stuff like that. But I held through, and, long story short, NXT and Ardor have helped make me very, very financially independent. There are those benefits on top of the benefits of supporting a great blockchain project.
Right.
If you look at the valuations of other projects, you've got Bitcoin Gold, you've got List, you've got Cardano, you've got a few other projects that don't really have a real product yet. And if you compare their valuation with Ardor's, Ardor should be much higher. Ignis should be much higher. Ignis futures actually are really, really high right now. I don't think you're going to be disappointed over time for any of the traders out there, for any of the people who did buy the top. You're going to be okay. It might take a while, but if you hold, everything's going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about.
I wonder if some of the people that are complainers aren't used to being holders. They might have
I don't think they're used to being holders, because if you look at it, it really was kind of a pump and dump where people were just trying to get Ignis at the last minute. And there's a lot of new money. I'm not going to call it stupid money, but there's a lot of new money in this space, and it's all swirling around, jumping from coin to coin, looking for any reason to invest. And they haven't done their homework. I don't think that they've really looked into the fundamentals of certain projects. So I really wish people would do that more. The one thing that I've been advising my friends to do, I don't push my friends to necessarily invest in NXT or Ardor, but they do ask me what's a good coin out there. I'm like, guys, any project that you get into, download the wallet first, okay? And they downloaded the next wallet, or they used the web wallet, which was available before, Gellerita took it down because of scammers and stuff like that. And they realized there is nothing that compares to the NXT and Ardor wallets.
Right.
Every other coin, I don't want to say every other, but a lot of other coins, especially ones that were not NXT forks, it's just sending coins from one wallet to another. There's not much functionality in it. And there's really just nothing as robust. And then after they use it, they're just like, I'm sold, I get it. So, people just need to actually do due diligence on the projects, check roadmaps, don't just follow TA. But even if you did follow TA, you should have realized that it was going to dump, because it did go parabolic like that. So if you just stick with good projects, you're going to basically make money over time.
I think, though, that if you are going to enter into this little hobby of day trading and following the hypes, that you should know a little bit about TA.
Yeah, I agree.
You should know how to recognize good entry and good exit points, and never go into a trade without a good exit strategy. That'll really help a lot, right? So I think a little education, even in technical analysis, would be helpful for people.
I totally agree.
Yeah, but yeah, it's amazing. I do feel bad for people. I've learned my lessons the hard way. I bet you can tell some stories too.
I do feel bad for people who are chasing a pump, but if you really do care about this project, really, you're going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about.
Learn to be patient. Learn to hold that bag, and I think they'll be better than fine, actually, William.
Oh no, I do think they're going to be better than fine.
Yeah.
You've got what is essentially, I don't want to, DApp is more of an Ethereum term, but let's go ahead and put it here. With Ignis, you have a DApp that has the features of like 10 different Ethereum dApps combined into one, integrated into the wallet of the parent chain. And with the Ardor wallet, you've got basically a parent chain wallet that integrates all the other dApps. There's nothing like that. It is absolutely a revolutionary project. People want to talk about blockchain 3.0. We're the first there. And, although I don't want to focus too much on hype, actually, I'm pretty hyped about this. I'm really excited about this. I've been on Twitter. I've been tweeting people. People should be excited about this product. And I think that people are going to realize that over time. Now, I do every once in a while, I check the forums, the cafes over here, the online forums in Korea, and the Koreans are getting it. The Koreans do realize that having a product is important. They do realize that, government integration is important. The latest that like the Ardor or the AEUR chain with the fiat backing and stuff, that's huge. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
that's absolutely huge to have a fiat backing on a decentralized exchange. So over time, it's going to come as these projects basically reach their deadlines and they haven't met their deadlines and they've pushed, their product off. People are going to realize maybe those teams can't come up with what's happening, and we need to actually be smart about our money and invest in projects that have a product or can produce.
You know, it's interesting because um, I think that the cryptocurrency um, phenomenon is attracting a whole different kind of breeders. The entry level or traders, the entry level is low basically
Yes.
compared to like a stock market
Right.
investment. But nobody enters a stock investment without doing some research into the fundamentals.
I
Nobody.
mean, yeah, absolutely.
Well, maybe there are some, but it's
Yeah,
a pretty standard practice, right? To
absolutely.
not just read it on in your entry decision, but to read the updates. And if
Right.
you have an investment in a stock, you are going to stay up on the fundamentals in the project and where it's going. But it seems like because the entry level is so low, you know, you can go out with $100 and enter into the crypto scene. And if you pick a winner on any given day, you might really increase that. But you
Yeah,
won't always increase it. And those increases could have been motivated and spurred by the hype.
right.
And not every project's going to be like that. Some of them are going to be slower and steadier and deliver on the fundamentals. And that's where we.
Right. If you are chasing a pump though, let's say you did buy into Ardor at $100 and you've lost half your money. There are other coins out there that'll do 10x. You could still take your $50, go somewhere else and turn it into 500 or turn it back into 100. It's really not that hard,
No.
especially when you're working with lower amounts of capital. So I actually feel like we have some trolls. I know that there are some people saying, oh, I put my life savings here. My life savings is gone now. And I can't believe that anybody would be that reckless with their life
Right.
savings to throw it into any coin. It's not about, Next or Ardor or anything like that, but just to go into any coin or any investment when it went parabolic like that. And, people just, if they got, burned that way, I'm sorry, but that happens and you need to do your due diligence,
Yeah.
both in
Vote
technical
for an
analysis and
elder.
fundamentals and all that.
Do not trade with money that you cannot afford to lose.
Absolutely.
It's a
Totally agree.
risky place. And if you don't know what you're doing, you even stand greater chances to lose if you're
Right.
not practiced.
I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah. Wow. It's fun to talk to you because you have so many insights from so many different directions. I wonder if that's because you get to monitor threads like Reddit and are a vast source of information.
I'm on the Slack, I'm on Reddit, I'm on Twitter. I'm open to, checking out other coins. I don't necessarily, try to attack other coins. I try to get insight from other coins. I try to see if, somebody's doing something better than Ardor. How are they doing? And a lot of coins, I will say, they do marketing really well. There are a lot of coins that have great marketing. A lot of these coins, they have very young faces representing them. They've got exciting backstories and stuff. And, that's something that I hope that Jellerita can, work on and get one day. But it's really, really interesting just to see how there's people from all walks of life in cryptocurrency now. It's becoming much, much more mainstream. Even in South Korea, I believe it's 1 in 3 office workers in South Korea are now in cryptocurrency.
1 in 3. Wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge over here. And that's why you hear these things about the government, trying to ban exchanges, which is not happening. They're not trying to ban exchanges over here. They don't want kids, trading cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. So I understand why regulations need to happen. But every country has their own cryptocurrency culture, which is amazing. And then you've got cryptocurrency culture in general on Reddit and on Twitter. And it's really fascinating. I could easily see, a college course being created on this because the way things evolve and the way hype cycles are created and stuff like that, that is definitely something that's going to be studied at some point in the future.
I agree with you. We need more education on it for sure.
Hmm.
We definitely do. But yeah, it is fun to talk with you. I know you've already imparted so many words of advice and wisdom here in this conversation, but is there any last words that you would like to give people who are entering this space?
You know, other than doing your due diligence, I want to advise people, don't invest in promises. If you do want to invest in promises, only invest in projects that have proven that they can deliver on, or that they've delivered on past promises. Then you have a better idea of their ability to deliver on future promises. But there's so many scam ICOs out there. But, you know, if I had to, like I said, and I know that, you know, it's a bit of shilling, but guys, hold some Ardor. Hold some Ardor, hold some Ignis. It is a solid project. You know, the next team, they've been around for 4 years. They're pioneers. They're pioneers in child chains. They were pioneers in proof of stake. They're very generous with, you know, creating the NXT blockchain creation kit. This is a very solid team. This is a very solid organization, and you really cannot go wrong holding some of this coin. This is absolutely a must buy in my opinion.
Right. Well, we'll see more of you. I know we will.
Absolutely. I'm going to be around for
Novadaemon, is that how you pronounce your handle?
Yeah, Novadaemon is fine. Yes.
Yep. And that is William about everywhere. So look him up and follow him. He, you can tell he's a reasonable, level-headed guy who has lots of good insight. So thanks for sharing that with us today, William, and you have a happy new year.
Yes, you too. Happy New Year.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.